All I can say is seizing Donald Trump's New York properties will not be easy for Letitia James. And I want to also kind of talk a little bit about what could happen as this deadline looms for this $500 million bond that outrageous Judge Arthur Engoron and Letitia James have demanded of former President Donald Trump. In fact, in a very groundbreaking legal move, New York Attorney General Letitia James is making headlines with a bold move against none other than former President Donald Trump and his business empire. This is an attack on an American entrepreneur, guys. Now, if you guys are able to see and hear me okay on this live, please do me a favor, hit the like button, say something in the comments, let me know I'm coming through okay. We got a lot of news to cover today. So Fox News host Sean Hannity, he commented how Letitia James has just pretty much set a dangerous new precedent by targeting Donald Trump and now threatening to seize Trump's businesses. She wants to seize his properties if he doesn't come up with what has been labeled by many respected people as an unprecedented $500 million bond. Now, according to Hannity, she's pursuing a civil case that's not just about Trump. It's also about majorly shaking up New York City. And honestly, guys, how we see democracy and justice in action, this is changing the game here, okay? We are literally seeing history in the making. In fact, we're going to talk about what legal expert Renee Zaytsev said when he weighed in on this unprecedented $454 million judgment. And we're going to talk about the global reach across Donald Trump's assets. To put it very simply, James is going after Trump's assets, folks. And we're talking global assets. We're talking about his biggest piece of the New York City skyline, 40 Wall Street. Now, this is not just about politics. This is about the threat. This is the threatening impact that this places on New York City, on entrepreneurs, on real estate investors, on just business owners in general. Overseas, international investors are going to look at New York. They're going to look at America differently, guys. And I'm also talking about what this means when buildings like these become pawns in a much larger game. Now, before we get into this, all I ask is that you guys take 1 second, drop a quick like for the video. I really appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate the support. Thank you so much for always sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. The support from you guys in this community is just unreal. And I just want to thank you guys. I can't thank you enough. Anyway, so it's a scenario where it really just kind of makes you wonder, is New York starting to feel a little bit more like those stories that we hear about from other countries where the government seizes assets at will? I mean, what country comes to mind when you think of countries that can like just seize your assets at will? Can you think of any countries? We don't normally see this in America. And something needs to be done about this. In fact, I'm very confident that something will be done because Trump is a fighter. He's not going to get bullied. And you can tell he's not slowing down, right? He's not going to let him slow him down. And also, what does this mean for Trump, for New York? What does this mean for the rest of the world that's watching this whole soap opera unfold? So anyway, some people they argue that Letitia James is basically sacrificing the fair rule of law just to get Trump. So anyway, basically, according to Trump's latest Truth Social post, he's got the $500 million ready to go. So he got the cash. So a lot of people that are calling him broke Don, and I've heard so many different new terms for Donald Trump coming from the left, calling him broke Don, and talking about the bloodbath statement, bloodbath, basically trying to make it seem like he was threatening, I guess America if he doesn't get reelected. But anyway, according to Donald Trump's latest Truth Social post, he's got the $500 million ready to go. And something tells me he's got a little bit more than $500 million. So all those people that are calling him broke, they just don't understand the game here. So anyway, here's Judge Andrew Napolitano's comments on a news show about how Letitia James can just stop salivating over Donald Trump's properties. Take a listen to what he's got to say about this.
Former New Jersey Superior Superior Court judge and host of the Judging Freedom podcast, Judge Andrew Napolitano. So, Judge, as we are just seeing, Donald Trump posting on Truth Social this morning saying he has the money. What happens now?
He got the money, guys. He ain't broke. Don't let him fool you.
If he has the money, he can deposit it in the court's bank account, and then all the efforts to execute on his property stop.
So that is literally all Donald Trump has to do to literally stiff arm Letitia James and silence all of her threats.
Remember, he doesn't have to post the bond or deposit the money in order to file the appeal. He has an absolute right of appeal. He has to post the bond or deposit that money in order to stop the execution. So Attorney General James's salivating over 40 Wall Street will stop for 3 or 4 years. That's how long it will take for the appeal to be addressed, because they...
Whoa. 3 or 4 years? Now, I talked about this before, guys, and I'm glad this judge has just confirmed this. 3 or 4 years, guys. This could turn into a huge lawsuit against, against New York City if Trump ends up winning this thing, guys. I'm telling you, if he has to tie up $450 million in some New York City bank account, look at the loss of capital. Look at the opportunity cost. I'm telling you guys, that would cost him at least $50 million a year just from having his capital tied up in the legal system during this time. Can you imagine the kind of lawsuit that Donald Trump would likely want to bring to New York City?
Press these appeals in the order in which they were filed, and there are years worth of appeals ahead of his.
I want to read again this Trump putting this on Truth Social just about an hour ago. Through hard work, talent, and luck, I currently have almost $500 million in cash, a substantial amount of which I intend to use in my campaign for president. That's changed. I did nothing wrong except win election in 2016 that I wasn't expected to win. I did even better in 2020, and he goes on from there. But basically, the former president, presumptive nominee for the Republican Party right now, indicating that he's got $500 million bucks.
I don't know. Is he going to use the $500 million to stop the execution, or is he going to use it for his campaign?
Was that election? Yeah, was it campaign money?
Right.
He says he has the money, and I guess that would pacify.
Here's why I think the state...
See, is this not election interference, guys? Is it not election interference when you're talking about the $500 million that Donald Trump had set aside for his campaign, which is now going to be needed to post a bond just to keep his properties from essentially being stolen out from under him, to keep his businesses from being shut down? I feel like this is a modern day... modified version of eminent domain. Like, they're just taking properties. Like, this doesn't even make sense. And then the speed at which they're trying, Letitia James wants to take his properties. It's as if she thinks he's going to leave the continent. You know, I mean, it's like, why are you trying to take his property so quickly? You don't even give him a chance to appeal. And I think the concern is that they know what'll happen when he appeals.
Playing hardball to its own disadvantage. It's a very costly process for the state to be costly and slow.
Oh man. And can you imagine, like, so they're basically trying to extort this crazy amount of money out of Donald Trump. And Letitia James says that basically, this is for the people of New York. Well, what's going to happen to the people in New York when all these business owners and investors decide that they don't want to be in New York City and operate in New York City because of the threat that being in New York City presents? It's like, you can't build a business. You don't want to build anything on a weak foundation. Now, if New York City is proving itself to be a place where businesses can't function or thrive or trust the ecosystem from which they're operating in, they're not going to stay there. This is an unbelievable amount of risk to operate in New York City. So I predict if they don't fix this thing, it's only a matter of time before companies, businesses, we could see a massive exodus out of New York City, even worse than what we saw during the pandemic when New York City effectively shut everything down. Now, you guys probably remember my uncle. I told you guys, right? I remember him saying something like, how in so many years he's been alive, he's willing to say this loud and clear. He hasn't seen this much insanity in his life until now. Now, needless to say, I think you guys probably know who my uncle is who my uncle's going to vote for in November, right? What about you guys? Who you guys think will probably be the best presidential candidate for 2024? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, as Fox News host Sean Hannity explained it earlier, New York State Attorney General Letitia James, she just set a dangerous new precedent for the courts and for our democracy. And in order to fulfill her political campaign promise, which is to go after, one of Donald Trump's organizations, she's going after one man, one family, the Trump family. The New York Attorney General, she cooked up a bizarre civil case, got a far left New York leftist judge to rule in her favor. And according to Donald Trump, this particular judge just so happened to have the most cases overruled in New York. And I don't know how accurate that is, but I wouldn't be surprised. And is now threatening to seize Donald Trump's businesses and properties if he doesn't come up with what is an unprecedented $500 million bond. Again, bond companies don't even have the money that they're asking for. The companies that issue the bonds don't have the bond money that Letitia James and Arthur Engoron are demanding. So Hannity goes ahead and points out that 30 bond companies just don't handle that sort of deal. What does that tell you? Is this not an abuse of the Eighth Amendment, guys? Okay, so anyway, so he compares the situation to something that you've seen in the old Soviet Union. No one who was supposedly tricked complained, right? Now, I just want to take a quick second. UVA Oracle, thank you so much for the big Sunday $10 super chat. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, UVA Oracle. You are better than the news. Keep it coming. Man, I really appreciate that. Appreciate the love, you guys. All right, so according to him, the banks that Letitia James said were duped by the Trump organization, they actually made money. The banks made money. They're arguing in Donald Trump's favor. They're glad. They can't wait to do another deal with him. I mean, he's just a businessman trying to make money. And again, the banks had their own appraisers. They validated the assets that were placed as collateral before the deal was done. And then they made money. They made a lot of money. Anyway, so Trump paid his dues on time, and they're even looking forward to do more deals with Trump. So what does this tell you, right? The banks didn't complain. Someone, I don't know who, decided, hey, we need to sue Trump for something. We need to take this guy down. Let's find something. So someone decided to put this case together and manifest a problem. As if New York City doesn't have enough problems, let's manifest a new problem and assign it to Donald Trump and literally make his life a living hell. Just long enough to slow him down before the 2024 presidential elections. So is this not interfering with an election? I mean, let me know what y'all think on that one. Maybe I'm off base. If I'm off base, it's cool. But if you agree, also let me know. If you don't agree, I'm cool with that too. We can still be friends. So anyway, he basically emphasizes that the banks and the insurance companies, they have a duty to check things out for themselves, a fiduciary responsibility, if you will. Okay. So they didn't just blindly take Donald Trump's word that his properties were worth a certain amount. And you got to keep in mind that these lenders, they will typically issue more than one. They will hire more than one, depending upon the size of the deal. Donald Trump's deals, they're not going to have one appraiser go out there. They're going to have more than one appraiser go out there. And then they will look at all of the appraisals, and they will then determine the value of the property, right? And so with that being said, they know that multiple appraisers will come up with different numbers, okay? Real estate is not an exact science. Real estate is the value of property. Ask anybody big in real estate. Donald Trump, ask Kevin O'Leary, ask heck, any high level executive in any Remax, Century 21, Berkshire Hathaway, they know that real estate is worth whatever an individual or an entity is willing to pay at any given point in time. Okay. So this is why they have multiple appraisers come out, because they know that they need to get a broad scope of what is this property really worth, right? And there's so many different methods of determining property value. So to even bring a case to say that the properties were improperly valued is complete bull. Okay. Anyway, so he goes on to emphasize that the banks and the insurance companies, they have a duty to check things out for themselves, which they did. Okay. They wouldn't lend or insure hundreds of millions of dollars in a real estate deal without their own thorough evaluation. I mean, come on. You don't have a multi-billion-dollar company lending hundreds of millions of dollars, not knowing how the game works and not knowing how to check under the hood and make sure that what you think you're lending against is worth, its weight. So this is really a stupid lawsuit. It's really a stupid case. It's a stupid trial. It's a big, huge waste of time. It's a waste of New York taxpayer dollars. Okay. Plus, the Donald Trump organization was upfront, telling every bank, telling every insurer not to rely on their valuations, a point that was backed up by testimony by one of the largest banks, and I believe they're a global bank, Deutsche Bank. A Deutsche Bank witness, okay? The Trump organization even had a written disclaimer given to every bank and every insurance company: do not use the Trump organization's values. So how was there even a case here? I mean, this is literally just a waste of time. This is a big, massive speed bump and an asset trap. That's what this is. This is an asset trap. They're trying to trap Trump's assets and threaten him so he can't do what they know he's going to do. There's the radical left is just so fearful right now that these games that they're playing, they're threatening. It's just all of this is unprecedented. It's unprecedented, but to a level that we've never seen before. So for Letitia James to now come and lay claim to Donald Trump's assets in order to cover his $500 million bond, people are just plain getting outraged. And then you're going to hit the man with a daily interest penalty of $112,000 a day. Can you imagine? Do you even know what picture $112,000. That's literally like charging Donald Trump a Mercedes-Benz S-Class brand new every day that this bond sits out there having not been paid. Like, that's like driving a Range Rover SVR off of a cliff every day until he pays the bond. Anyway, so according to lawyer Renee Zaytsev, since New York is a very creditor-friendly state, even before they get to his properties, she can very easily go ahead and freeze his bank accounts. I mean, freeze his bank accounts. We saw this nonsense in Canada with Justin Trudeau and the trucker boycott up there, and they threatened to seize his banks. So they threatened to seize the bank accounts, but they actually did seize the bank accounts. They literally made it so that people funding the truckers boycott and supporting the truckers boycott, they couldn't do it. They seized the truckers' bank accounts themselves. I mean, they later released the funds, and they later got in trouble for it. But here we have another instance, and this is why the New York trucker boycott was such a big deal, right? Because people are so unhappy with this injustice. And again, I'm kind of thankful, I'm kind of thankful that this happened to Trump. And the reason I say this is because Trump is a fighter. All right. If this happened to anybody else, they probably just kind of like, and I'm not saying like anybody else, but most people aren't going to be able to fight to the level that Donald Trump has fought and have the street smarts and business savviness in order to be able to battle against multiple bullies. Because you got to remember, there's multiple states where he's got outstanding cases within, and he's getting bullied right now. So this is the reason why I'm thankful that it's happening to him, because he can handle himself, and he's got the financial backing, and he's got the celebrity to be able to expose the corruption that's happening. If this happened to any old regular Joe, like any old regular Joe would be getting screwed behind closed doors and no one would know about it. But since it's Donald Trump, it's like, hey, look, this corruption is getting exposed wide the heck open, just spreading that exposure. Anyway, so all she has to do, Letitia James, in order to freeze his bank accounts and his assets, is to just start serving restraining notices to the banks where he holds accounts. And she can then have a sheriff execute on those accounts, or she can commence a turnover proceeding directing the banks directly to turn over the assets in those accounts. Translation: Letitia James could go after all of Trump's money wherever they are, because they could gain access to his private bank accounts. How is this America? And this is embarrassing to live in America with this crap going on. We have viewers from Australia, the UK, the Netherlands, Canada, Ecuador. Dude, whoever, comment down below, where are you guys from? Where are you guys watching from? And more specifically, for those of you who are watching, here we go. I was going to say, for those of you guys who are watching outside the country, I want to know where you're watching from, because this is on worldwide display. So I got Wayne P040. He says, I'm in the UK. I drained my bank accounts because of Trudeau. I'm Justin Trudeau. I don't blame you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is an embarrassment to the country. This is an embarrassment to the country. So look, we got Sandy M. She's watching. No, I'm sorry. We got Gary Stahl. He's watching from China. We have people all over the world watching right now. Gary, I got Scott Lee up in here. Good eye from Australia. I appreciate you tuning in, mate. I mean, like, this is a worldwide circus on display. This circus is on display, and people, other countries are laughing at America right now. This is ruining the American brand. And with this being said, people are screaming government overreach. They're asking, why aren't they going after James for basically doing the exact same thing? People are saying, why aren't they going after Letitia James for basically doing the same thing, which is going after money that she's supposedly prosecuting Trump for? Now, anyway, like I always tell you guys, follow the money. You know what I'm saying? By the way, I don't even know how many people we got in the live here right now. How many people we got in this live? Let me see. Can somebody comment how many people we got in the live right now? However many people we got in the live, drop that many likes up in here. We need to get the word out here, guys. This is an abuse of power. This is an abuse of multiple constitutional amendments. It's ridiculous. So, and as one of the things that I read about this, thank you. We got 1,500 people in here, 1,494. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. 1,450 people watching. Share this video on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. This is some bull. And anyway, so as one of the things that I read about this explained, New York Attorney General Letitia James seizing Donald Trump's 40 Wall Street, it could be a huge loss for this could be a huge loss for New York City, right? A lot of people aren't considering that. This could be a huge loss for New York City, okay? And our democracy. Now, if Letitia James goes ahead and sees Donald Trump's largest real estate asset, 40 Wall Street, it could literally spell trouble, not just for Donald Trump, but for New York City itself. So New York City is actually being done a major disservice Okay. Kevin O'Leary calls New York City a flyover state. Grant Cardone's not trying to put no new capital up in there. But yeah, I mean, just imagine this iconic but kind of struggling office tower. Because I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. 40 Wall Street ain't killing it. The heyday of 40 Wall Street is behind it, right? So it's not. It's definitely not one of Donald Trump's most thriving businesses, right? But just imagine this iconic but kind of struggling office tower suddenly turns into a ghost town in the heart of Lower Manhattan, an area that's already kind of reeling from the hemorrhaging of tenants of Uptown. I mean, again, commercial real estate is commercial real. You want to talk about a bloodbath? Commercial real estate is having a bloodbath right now. So this would make New York City even worse off. And I'm pretty sure New Yorkers are pissed off. I know I got New Yorkers watching this show right now. New Yorker taxpayer money is literally just being wasted. And I'm a New Yorker myself. Thank you. Thanks to the fact that I don't live in New York anymore, it's less painful, but it's just awful to see my hometown being managed like this. This is just... So anyway, as explained by a real estate broker who's had multiple dealings there, if 40 Wall Street ends up in limbo, nobody in their right minds, tenants or buyers, will go near it. It needs a fortune in work that needs, work repairs, updating, probably electrical, fixtures, carpet, you name it. There's so many uncertainties that the risk would likely just be too great for most investors, because really only an investor would be likely interested in buying 40 Wall Street, right? So it's a risk that investors wouldn't even want to take. So any investor who would even consider buying it would offer pennies on the dollar. And if that were to happen, how many properties would Letitia James have to fire sale through just to cover $450 million? Who knows? So it definitely sounds like the warnings of real estate giants like Grant Cardone and Kevin O'Leary, they're starting to manifest in right in front of our eyes here, guys. And let's remember, this is not the first rodeo for the building, but the stakes are now higher as downtown struggles with a 30% vacancy rate. This is the highest vacancy rate in history. So this is literally the worst time to be selling commercial real estate. And this could get even worse if 40 Wall Street falls to a government takeover once again. Can you imagine that? Like, just to share the history with you guys, right? It once got caught in a whirlwind of a mess when the government took over it, because it turned out that Ferdinand Marcos, the corrupt dictator of the Philippines, secretly owned it. I don't know if you guys know about that. Let me know if this is new information to you guys. That particular move caused a succession of failed auctions, foreclosures, lawsuits, and a string of decay that cast a long dark shadow over the whole financial district for like a decade. So by the mid 90s, the building was practically a ghost town, sitting at like 80% empty. So the tide started to turn when Donald Trump, look, if you guys haven't heard this story, it's actually kind of remarkable, right? So not to toot Trump's horn, but this is what he did, right? So basically picture this, mid 90s, the building's sitting practically empty. It had 80% of the occupants gone. Can you imagine going through a mall? I don't know what mall is nearest to you, but picture the nearest mall that is near your house, right? Imagine 80% of the stores are empty. Wouldn't that be weird? It's basically practically a ghost town. And that's the condition that the Trump Tower was in when Donald Trump bought it. So basically, when Trump took over the lease in 95, he got the property for a steal. He spruced up the place. Granted, that was 95. What's that? 30 years ago. So he spruced the place up, got it buzzing again. But then, as his gaze kind of shifted toward TV and politics, the building started to get a little bit neglected again. Losing Dwayne Reed. If you guys aren't from New York or in the tri-state area, I don't know. I don't know if Dwayne Reed pharmacies are outside of New York. I haven't seen them outside of New York, but if you're not familiar with Dwayne Reed, Dwayne Reed is a big pharmacy, kind of like CVS or Rite Aid, Walgreens, but they're mainly in New York, right? Or at least I've only seen them in New York. So losing Dwayne Reed, its biggest retail tenant with over 20,000 square feet last fall, it was a major hit. So nowadays, experts say that the tower is worth maybe $200 million, which is less than half of what it was worth a decade ago. And so basically what they're saying is, a decade ago, it probably was worth more than $400 million. But today, estimates are saying about $200 million at best, right? But I mean, hey, maybe Letitia James and her team have a plan up their sleeve. It's not like this seizing business. It's not like this seizing buildings playbook is anything new. Like, it's a move that we've seen in China, where the government snatches up businesses for stepping out of line or getting too rich for their comfort, getting too powerful, right? And let me repeat this for you guys. China, this is the kind of move we would expect to see from China, to do to its businesses. This is not what we would expect here in America, especially New York City, doing this to their businesses, doing this to their entrepreneurs, to their business owners. So I mean, like, would you want that for our country? I mean, like, here's hoping 40 Wall Street and the city can dodge being caught up in this homegrown scheme. But let me tell you guys, more and more every single video, I'm seeing people saying how they didn't vote Republican before now. Now they're planning to vote for Republicans to save America. And they say that people like Letitia James and that corrupt judge are just kind of solidifying their vote for Republicans across the board. But what do you guys think? Now, I'm just trying to tell you guys, like, I see it, it looks to be that James just may be sacrificing the rule of law just to get to Trump. Now, I'm not saying New York is turning into Venezuela or anything here, anything like that. But who knows what the future holds? But its political system is starting to smell very questionable for a lot of law experts, because no matter what financial corners Trump might have, cut, it seems like Attorney General Letitia James is just going a little bit overboard in her quest for justice against Donald Trump, veering off what feels like a personal vendetta rather than upholding the law. But what do y'all think about this? Now imagine this, right? Imagine James is supposedly standing up for supposed victims for Trump's supposed crimes. But guess what? There aren't any, right? So instead, she's going after Trump for fines that'll likely end up funding political agendas. They're not helping anybody. They're only funding. They market it as helping New Yorkers, but they're actually planning to use Donald Trump's money. They're basically planning to take, this is a wealth transfer here, guys. This is a secret, covert wealth transfer from Donald Trump to potentially whatever political agendas that they may have. This is like a reverse Robin Hood going on here. And what we've been seeing and hearing a lot about these days, this is the kind of stuff of banana republics. And James doesn't exactly keep it a secret. I mean, she actually campaigned in 2018 on the agenda of bringing Trump down. And then she jumps on Twitter, reminding everyone of this, how much interest Donald Trump's racking up every day. Discovering that Donald Trump, discovering that he exaggerated his assets was a shocking find, given his reputation, which is highly debatable, right? But her deep dive into his business didn't actually uncover any fraud. No bank claimed to have lost money by lending to Donald Trump, and no one at the trial could point out how his so-called fibs actually impacted loan terms. So there's no case here. James's lawsuit from 2022, it's like she's shooting blanks. No proof of Trump making a dime off of any alleged misdeeds. Even a former Deutsche Bank risk manager testified at trial last year that the bank's loan decisions were based on its own analysis. Let me repeat. Even a former bank risk manager, the bank manager, this risk manager's job is to determine risk. He testified at the trial last year that the bank's loan decision were based on its own analysis, not Trump's word. They're basically saying, regardless of what you think Trump valued his assets at, that was not a part of our decision in terms of providing funding and establishing the loan terms. So they're literally telling her, they're telling the court, they're telling Judge Arthur Engoron that there's no case here. No, we're gonna go ahead and throw the book at him anyway. But wait, there's no crime. Oh no, there's a crime. We'll find it. So where's that crime at? I know there's a crime out around here somewhere. We're gonna find it. Anyway, so cut to before the financial crisis, right? Banks were handing out loans left and right like it was candy, right? Y'all remember the interest-only loans and no-doc loans? There were dead people getting loans, right? This is back, during 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, leading up to the 2008 financial crisis when things went south. Regulators ended up clamping down hard, right? Yet, Attorney General James, she bizarrely argued that banks have somehow been victimized. The banks have been victimized by Mr. Trump's alleged misrepresentations, even though they made money from the loans. Really? The banks, they were victimized. They were victimized by Donald Trump. They were so victimized that they were forced to make profit off of the Trump loans. So stupid, right? So she couldn't prove that the banks were actually duped by Trump's mischievous misrepresentations, a key piece of proving fraud, right? She leaned on a broad state law for civil fraud. So here's the kicker, you guys. You usually need to show somebody got hurt in order to call it fraud, right? The federal courts require proof of property loss or damage to prove fraud took place, right? The Supreme Court even said the Supreme Court even said that misrepresentations are not enough. Yet New York seems to play by different rules. Hey, that's a sanctuary state for you, huh? So the judge, Arthur Engoron, he decided Trump's false financial statements deserve the penalty, slapping Donald Trump with a whopping $350 million fine for so-called ill-gotten gains. I mean, so stupid. Like how he figured out that, how he even figured this number out is straight up a mystery, right? Plus, he added, just to add a little cherry on the top, with a $99 million worth of interest dating back to when James started hunting Trump down. So Letitia James and the FDNY, they're hunting down firefighters, but Arthur Engoron hit Donald Trump with an extra $99 million in interest dating back to when Letitia James was first hunting Donald Trump down. Guys, I wish I was making this stuff up. And now every day Donald Trump doesn't pay up. He owes $112,000 a day or some ridiculous number like that. So Donald Trump's team is actually shouting foul, saying that this mess is just tramples on the rule of law, especially when no one's been hurt. They're worried that it sets a dangerous precedent for future dealings between businesses and banks. Heck, the bond companies don't even want to do business with Trump because they're afraid that if they provide Trump with a bond, that New York will come after them for helping Trump. This is New York City is trying to scare businesses out the state. Whether it's intentional or, unintended consequences, this is what's happening. They're worried it sets a dangerous precedence for future dealings between businesses and banks. I mean, like Letitia James, however, she claims it's all in the name of protecting financial market integrity. Okay. You can say whatever you want, LJ. Not to be confused with LeBron James. Anyway, yeah. So from the looks of it, her actions may very well be causing more harm than good. But let me jump in these comments because I know y'all been going off in the comments. So let me see now what's going on in these comments. Wow, we got 2,200 people up in this live. I don't know if I've ever seen that many people in here. You guys are fired up. I hope y'all hit the like button, show some love for your boy up in here. So Amber M says, yep, almost $1 million a week just in interest. He has no choice but to pay. You know what? That is about $1 million a week when you think about it. $1 million a week in interest. I wonder if that's tax deductible. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, this is ridiculous. Michael says New York State has lost billions in revenue because of this. Oh, I'm certain. This was not a help to New York. If I were Governor Kathy Hochul, if I were Mayor Eric Adams, I would have to step in. I'd be like, hey, I know you're trying to help Letitia James, but this ain't the kind of help we need. Jerry Sparks asks, who's getting the money? Well, normally the victims would get the money, but since there are no victims, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I could sit here and speculate. They could probably put this money toward whatever political agendas that they have. They can give the money to the hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants that are coming into New York City, New York State. There's a smorgasbord of potential unpopular ways that New York City could spend Donald Trump's money. I have no idea for sure where they're going to spend this thing. Let me see. Sam Watson says 2,200 people, 1,500 likes. Somebody not hitting the like button. Appreciate you, Sam. You are the man. Appreciate you. The reason, so XYZ99 says the reason Hochul does nothing is because Hochul is in on it too. Ooh. So the plot thickens. Appreciate your input on that one. Man. So who is getting this money? Does it go on Miss James' pocket? Do attorney generals earn a commission on the amount of judgments that they get to be approved? I'm gonna have to do some checking on that. That would have to be a conflict of interest. So I can't imagine that would play a role. Let's see. Nana's Crochet Corner says that the whole damn party's in on it. Sandy Potter says Kentucky loves Trump. Man, it's a wild one tonight, guys. Catalia says hit that like button. It's totally free. All right, she didn't say totally, but I went ahead and throw that in. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about what we talked about today. I really appreciate the support. If y'all hadn't hit the like button, feel free to do so. I won't charge you for that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed tonight's discussion. I will catch up with you guys on the flip side. Happy Sunday, and I hope your Monday is amazing tomorrow. Take care, guys.